Hello guys, it's Lily Vixen and welcome back to some more Autumn's Journey. So we're back after the first part and it's morning. Guess who had to deal with the most annoying character ever? Possibly. I've met some annoying characters, but so far, he's the most stuck-up one I ever met. Hey! And she's poking him with a walking stick, probably, or a stick, maybe. It's a stick, yeah. But is it a walking stick? I don't know. Oh, please. I've had less sleep than you, and I'm already energized and ready to go. Howdy, I poked Kerr some more with the walking... Okay, that is the walking... That walking stick is so short! With the walking stick I had fashioned for him. It wasn't easy finding the sturdy stick in the birch forest, but I had located a long one. That's not long, that would suffice. I had spent the morning carving off any bark and even indented the top to make it easier to grip. Oh my god, my ear. Now it was my dragon prod. Up! Arise, sacred dragon!
Whoa.
Cut that out. Kerr hastily shot up, throwing off my blanket in a feeble attempt to hide the fact he used it. I decided to counter his usual scowl with the perkiness, most cheerful grin I could muster.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're so cute. Good morning. My greeting was genuine. For some reason, it satisfied me to know that his high spirits irked him. I could use my sunny disposition to my advantage. It would be better than snapping at him at any rate. Stop poking me with that.
You're welcome.
It's your walking stick. Here. And here you're welcome. I turned it sideways and offered it to him. He warily gazed at it as if I was presenting a cobra instead, but carefully grasped it. Cautiously, he pressed the stick against the ground as he stood up. I remained close, lest he topples over like yesterday. His fingers drummed against the carved handle, and he looked at me quizzically. You spent time on this?
Right.
Well, I wanted to finish it off with a pretty flowing ribbon, but I had a feeling you wouldn't like it. Grumbling, Kerr took a step forward, leaning on his stick before hesitantly taking another. With each step, he regained some confidence, and soon he was walking in a straight line, albeit with an uneven gait. He could not exactly break into a run, or even a brisk stride, but it was a huge improvement from last night. I estimated we could reach the cave leading to the altar by mid-afternoon. I quickly packed and followed him, since I had the feeling the only thing on his mind was that altar. It's this way. Oh, fuck you. I pointed towards the gentle incline, and Kerr narrowed his eyes resentfully. Going downhill would probably be difficult for him. As we headed towards our destination, I kept my distance at first, but I gradually drew towards Kerr, one hand extended in case of a stumble. Kerr bulked and increased the distance between us. Great, determined to progress on his own. However, his pace was excruciatingly slow, and he was unwilling to start any small talk. As the slope steepened, his footing became more unsteady, and I worriedly grabbed his arm for support. Okay. He twirled around in surprise, and I actually did end up bracing him. Once he was stable again, I sighed. Look, I know you don't like me touching you, but if your priority is to get to that altar as soon as possible, I think you can swallow your dignity to accept my help. Besides, no one else is around to see you stumbling. You've done enough. I don't need any more help from you. He shifted his weight and used the stick to ward me away. I frowned disapprovingly. Okay, the music's a little loud, and I can't really hear his voice. Yeah, that works. Huh. Yeah, ward me away. I frowned disapprovingly. Hey, if you try to hit me with that thing, I'll confiscate it. Even I wouldn't do something like that. Gritting his teeth, he leaned heavily against one of the birch trees. When I get back, I'm gonna give him a piece of my mind. Who? My master. His curt answer stalled the rush of questions piling up in my head. It would be poor of me to interrogate him when he was still obviously overwhelmed by the situation. Right now, the goal was more important.
Right.
Then I'll get you to that cave. You believe me? Everything I told you? Sadly, yes, I do. Maybe you're just a very convincing actor, but I think even an actor would drop his charade after a while. Now you want some of that rye bread, don't you? Don't you? Just as I was about to reach for him again, a low grumble pierced the forest. I glanced at Kieran in amused bafflement. He averted his eyes, but I could tell he was embarrassed. You know, if you're hungry...
Shut up!
I think you'll be able to walk faster if you have something to eat. What do dragons eat anyway?
Annoying.
Meddling heavenkind. I rolled my eyes. Well, if you have a heavenkind stomach now, and I doubt they'll agree with a diet like that. But it does make sense that you wouldn't want to try that bread or cheese. I doubt dragon thresh rye or run dairy. Oh, okay. I read that wrong. I doubt dragons thresh rye or run dairy farms. It was then that I remembered the apple tart. Even if Kurt found the pastry part detestable, I wanted it though. The fruit would probably be familiar to him. I urged him to sit down. When he refused, I simply made myself comfortable on the ground first. Here, this is the closest thing I have to something found in nature. I could forage, but that would take even longer. What is that? It's pastry. My dad owns a bakery, you probably wouldn't understand that. It's basically a treat with apple filling, and I think some apricot jam. Thankfully, my dad preferred showing off the natural ingredients. As a result, the top of the tart has slices of appetizing fruit covered in a luxurious yellow glaze. Thanks, asshole. Kerr sniffed it warily. It must have been agreeable enough since he accepted the pastry. What the hell is that pink stuff on your cheek? Like right there. What the hell is that? Why is it green? What? Why is there a piece of oh my god. I know it's like some quick art, but like, dude, I know it's a fantastic game, but you gotta like make art all the way art. I like it the background matches with the background. Like never mind. It's just this background. Okay, it's just a smaller version of this background. I mean, as this was a smaller version of this background. Okay, never mind. You're welcome. As soon as he nibbled on it, he realized how famished he was and quickly devoured the entire tart. I watched as he coughed slightly and wiped the crumbs off his mouth, but his expression was unreadable. So, how was it? Anything tastes fine when you're starving. Or you just inhaled it so fast you didn't even actually taste it. Well, it should tide you over until we reach the altar. Kerr grabbed his stick and we resumed our trip. Resumed. Oh, god damn it. The extra sugar boost seemed to lift both the pace and his mood. Although he said, yeah. As we continued through the forest, I stopped and groaned when I spotted some dark trees.
Oh no.
Those are Yelfaband trees. Completely forgot. We should probably go around then. Yelfaband? He peered at the thick, gnarled trunks. What, scared of bark? It'll be quicker if we continue it in a straight line. No, it's not about the trees. It's what lies in them. They make perfect nests for Aviteros? Aviteros
The hell?
are those. Those giant bird-like things? I thought you would know them. I would if I understand your names. Why are you giving new names to everything anyway? We dragons were here first, and we've already established. I raised my hand to silence him, not wanting to make any unnecessary noise. He scowled, but with a shrill cry, startled both of us. Then what do you call that?
Whoa.
Usually food. Fuck you. Well, that'll be us now. Perched on one of the lower branches was a reptilian bird with scales running down its front. The rest of its body was covered in earth-toned feathers. They were probably no taller than 4 feet. Its extremely wide wingspan and sharp talons made it a fearsome animal to encounter in the wild. Aviteros raised young way into the fall, so the mothers would be extra territorial this time of year. The bird ruffled its plume, making itself seem larger than it was. Oh god, burp. Excuse me. And prepared to launch itself at us. Oh shit. Yo, I'm a badass. I immediately stepped in front of Kir, gripping my sword as I took a defensive stance. With Kir's condition, an instant retreat wouldn't work. I'd have to guard him.
Whoa.
What are you doing? You're not planning to fight it, are you? Do we have a Look out! I shoved Kerr off balance. Thanks to my quick reflexes, we narrowly avoided a slash from the artillery Avitero's talons. Oh, I know what that is. The wind whipped at my hair as debris flew up around us. I scrambled to my feet and sprinted forward, hoping to keep the Avitero's attention away from Kerr. As it dove towards me, I slashed upward. It veered away, dodging my counterattack. Kerr, I'll keep it busy while you get up.
Bring it.
Are you stupid? I'm not leaving you behind. Kerr, whatever. I need you to take me to that altar. Maybe if you shouted the direction at me, I could get there alone. I'm kind of busy here. I can't get my bearings in the middle of a battle. My aggravation was the incentive. I needed to keep the Avitero at bay. However, my training had never covered aerial attacks, and the bird's scaly front was like armor. Are you holding back? Well, it's just protecting its young. It's trying to kill you. You think I haven't noticed? Oh, for the wings, clip them, it won't hurt it, but it'll stop it from flying, just clip the tips. I wanted my stance and prepared for another attack. At the last second, I leaped to the side, slicing at an angle. My sword beautifully sheared at the Avitero's thick primary feathers. The monster swerved into the ground, its shoulder and head bearing the brunt of the clash. It let out a cry, and I felt for a split second of guilt that vanished with a yelp as the bird tried to tear me down with its talons. Luckily, the Avitero was designed for swooping down at prey rather than running on ground. Okay, so it could only howl awkwardly. As it screeched, futilely spread its wings, I retreated, grateful that it was even slower than Kerr. I wove through the trees until I finally gave up chasing me. Sighing in relief, I looped back and returned to Kerr, who was also at a safe distance. Looks like it gave up, but what about its young? It'll be fine. The feathers will grow back, and it could still hop back to its nest. Its babies won't need to eat as constantly at this stage anyway. You sure know a lot about them. Thanks for the suggestion. Oh my god! He snorted indignantly. I already told you, they're food. Of course I know about them. Soon the forest was quiet once again, with only the sounds of our footsteps and the tap of Kerr's walking stick breaking the silence. Surprisingly, he did not protest when I suggested a safer route, nor when I walked nearly shoulder to shoulder with him. I had the feeling that starting a conversation would push my luck. So I kept my mouth open, my mouth shut, and instead hoped for no more setbacks. This is it.
Yeah.
It's not a very deep cave. You simply take a turn, and the altar is right there.
The hell?
Like, what? That's it? No complex mazes? No shiny sacred magic lake with a guardian or anything? Hey, we did what we could. This is a modest altar. I took a deep breath and smiled reminiscently. I haven't been here in years. I think I came here before to make the occasional offering around the harvest season. I gave Kira a cheerful look, but he continued forward, ignoring my recollections. I shrugged and followed, catching up to him. Kira awkwardly knelt down before the altar, discarding the walking stick once he was comfortable. His eyes closed with a softened scowl, almost as if he was meditating. Suddenly, his mineral-like ears perked, and he stared directly at the statue. There was no change in the atmosphere, but I could tell Kuro was angry. His hands gripped tightly to his knees. His hand tightly gripped his knees. I know we're connected. I demanded that you remove this stupid curse. He fell silent, and I looked around in bemusement. He was talking to someone? He was talking to someone. But I could not hear the other half of the conversation. For some reason, that made me even more attentive as I tried to piece everything together. You can't be serious! So I said a few things, but yes, I've met one. That's how I found the altar in the first place. He whirled towards me and blinked in confusion, as if saying me for the first time. I stiffened, wondering why he was staring at me so intensely. Once he finally turned away, I relaxed, although I could not help but feel anxious about the discussion. What about me?
Annoying.
Weak, pathetic, gives strange names to animals, doesn't seem to know much about Ishtara or how the world works. He's referring me to heavenkind in general, or just me? Oh, is he referring? What? I guess their food is half decent or something? What? No. You're not sending me on a pointless inspirational quest. I'm not a child. I can't even walk in this form, so your plan is... At that moment, a blinding light flashed from where Kerr was standing, and I flinched in shock. Whoa, Kerr! By the time I had knelt down and warningly grabbed his shoulder, the flash had already disappeared. In one smooth movement, Kerr removed my hand and stood up without the walking stick. His eyes still seemed focused beyond me, and he slowly nodded to himself. Did your powers return or something? He extended his palm and lurched towards the ground, slamming it against the hard stone. Yup. The entire cave shook, and tremor visibly and mentally shook me as well, and my heart pounded loudly. I felt so paralyzed that I couldn't even scream. Once I found my balance, I looked bewilderedly at Kerr, who flexed his unharmed fingers with a smug expression. So... He barely glanced in my direction. It's not exactly what I wanted, however the portion of my original powers and strength are back, along with my balance. I can actually be comfortable in this form now. Thanks. That I worked so hard on. He gave the dismissive kick to the walking stick and promptly walked away from the altar.
Right.
Well, that's promising at least. What will you do next? Do what he ordered me to do and become normal again.
I don't need your help.
Fuck you. I can handle this on my own. So you don't need to follow me. I had to anyway. There was only one way out of the cave, but as soon as we were in the open, Kerr took off running with a grace and speed. With a grace and speed I'm sure no real heavenkind could ever replicate. I blinked once, and sure enough, I was alone. I scratched back in my head, still absorbing what just happened. You're welcome? Burying my head in my hands, I shook my hair in frustration. Was I expecting something from this? Well, a thank you would have been nice. I tapped my sword hilt for reassurance. It's what Knight does. They keep the weak and demonstrate. They help. Oh God, they keep the weak. They help the weak and demonstrate their generosity when it's needed. Well, Kirk's not weak anymore. He can definitely take care of himself now. I guess my duty is done.
Right.
Mission complete. Just some experience as a reward and a discarded walking stick. Deciding not to linger any longer, I started walking back towards Barry. My parents would certainly be worried by now. Okay, guys, I have this topic here because we're in the 20-minute mark. So, yeah, you're not going to see a chapter name. Bye.